Welcome to a rather sodden Carrow Road here on this Friday night, where Norwich City have beaten Swansea City 1-0. I thought I would do one in the rarefied floodlights of Carrow Road rather than round the back of the City stand, SF stand, which probably means that the lights are going to go out any minute and I'll be plunged in darkness, but you never know. It's certainly not been that sort of night so far, because Norwich have picked up a 7th win in 9 games, and when you consider that there are now only 10 games left for Daniel Farke's side, what a time to go on a run like this. Now, Daniel Farke does like calling games complicated affairs when he's got a lot to deal with, and this was probably one of them, because just caught Ewan Roberts after the game. He said that this was actually, the first half was probably Swansea's best first half of the season, best performance of the season in many ways, and they were excellent. This was a real difficulty for Norwich in terms of the way Swansea set up. They pressed Norwich exceptionally high, but they also did it really well, and they kind of merged into a front three almost in that press, with Selina behind as well and joining in. So it was quite a full-on effort, and it gave Norwich all sorts of problems, both in terms of trying to play out from the back, but also in terms of using Tom Treibel as their kind of pivot at the back, because the middle was clogged. And again, it was the same when Norwich then did get in Swansea's half. It was Norwich really struggling to play around what was a really compact defensive line. So Swansea had it kind of nailed in the first half. That said, Norwich were poor. I think they managed below 60% pass accuracy in the final third in the first half, which was abysmal. In fact, they only managed one shot on target, I think, all game. Fortunately, that resulted in a goal on 54 minutes, and what a goal it was as well from Emi Buendia. Now, I feel like I've kind of waxed lyrical about Emi Buendia all season. I know how excited everyone at the club was about signing him, which they did in January to make sure that he would be theirs come the summer. And it's kind of been a case of just waiting for that one moment where he just shone. And the goal he scored today, just outstanding class, from the hit, the quality of the strike, the first touch to just move it in a position where his left foot was there just to connect. It was on a different level to everyone around him. Great play from Anel Hernandez, and patience in the build-up, given he was sort of a bit hit and miss at times, and Anel is probably the genuinely erratic cog in the wheel, but Norwich kind of need that, because it does give them an air of unpredictability. It's not necessarily criticism. I think it does Norwich well at this level especially. But the quality of the goal from Emi Buendia is just a work of art, and thoroughly deserved to win a game where Norwich were probably some way off their level in terms of performance. But again, at this stage of the season, when everything else you're trying to work to, it's not necessarily about that. It's about coming home with 3 points and a victory. Norwich is 21st of the season. As I said, they're 7th in 9 games at such a crucial time in the season. And a phenomenal reaction, of course, in the middle of all that, to their defeat at Preston. And Norwich have kicked off on a Friday night. They've won the game. Now Sheffield United kick off at home to Rotherham at 12:15. It's a Yorkshire derby. Paul Warne is obviously Rotherham boss. And then Leeds have a really tricky game at Bristol City, who have faltered recently, but Ashton Gate will be a difficult place for them to go. In the context of things, those two sides that are Norwich's promotion rivals may well go and win both games, and fair play to them. But this is just brilliant that Norwich managed to take care of their own business. I'll try and move around. Take care of their own business and deliver what they needed, which was 3 points to move them on. And indeed, as I've worked out over the last 11 championship seasons, any team that's broken 70 points in 36 games has been promoted. Huddersfield are the only team that needed to do it via the playoffs, and that was because 3 teams broke 70 points after 36 games in that season. So says a lot about where Norwich are, and also the context and the evidence that we're kind of getting to the point now where if it does fall away, it's going to be one hell of a collapse. And Tim Krul said it very well, speaking to him afterwards. Just they can be confident about their position, but not arrogant, and assured about what they've done. And they all know what's at stake now. And he's done it before, and he said that this feels a bit more special than with Newcastle, I think, because of the journey they've all been, and just the way they've kind of taken apart their initial expectations and rebuilt them into let's be quite clear, at the moment, the best side in the Championship, and certainly one of the best too. He went as far as to say it would almost be disappointing if they had to rely on the playoffs now, and the playoffs will be some sort of god-awful challenge. So let's see how the remaining 10 games go. For my record, they need 6 wins now out of those 10 games. That would take them to 90 points. That's 18 points basically, and as I think I've said before, 90 points has been enough for automatic promotion in those last 11 seasons too. So there's the body of evidence up to Norwich City, what they do with it. Tim made the point that the way Norwich needed to tweak things at half time, and Daniel Farke said that Norwich's press was all over the place. It was just not very good, and Tim said you just need to stop chasing after Swansea, and that did offer them a degree of structure, although of course given they scored 9 minutes into the second half, the dynamic of the game completely changed then. Tim was chased down a couple of times, and he sort of gave a puff of the cheeks and said, yeah, Daniel James is very quick. I'm sure Leeds fans will be hoping that what happens come the end of this season, they can complete a deal for the Swansea winger, who is a Leeds United fan as well. So you imagine that will probably get done in the summer, and Leeds will be will have a very good signing on their hands in his signature. And it's fair to say Norwich have done a big favour before kick-off, because Ollie McBurney fell ill, I think, overnight, so he didn't make the squad. It meant that Swansea only had 6 guys on the bench, and you have to say in that first half had Ollie McBurney, a man in great form, who scored 10 goals in his last 12 games, I think, in the league, been around to maybe get on the end of some of the chances, or be the extra option for Swansea in that first half, that Norwich may well not have gone in at half-time level, given Norwich's performance was a little bit stodgy. And you could feel the nervousness. I was a bit worried about this place, because it was very quiet in the sort of 70, 80th minutes, on until maybe the last 5 or so minutes. It was too passive, and you could see just a sucker punch coming, which I don't know if Swansea really would have deserved it, because although they were good in the first half, chances wise, I think Norwich produced enough to have won the game. So although I say that, I mean, they've only had 1 shot on target, so I guess it was opportunities really, but probably wouldn't have been begrudged anyone if it finished a draw. It's just great that Norwich have had that extra moment of quality to actually physically win the game and put themselves in such a great position, of course. We'll be back here again very swiftly on Wednesday, in fact. That's a quick turnaround, and we may start getting to the point where Daniel will have to change it. He named another unchanged side. Of course, this was Norwich's 4th successive win. Kenny McLean was okay, but it's a really tricky one, because I think both Mario Vrancic and Moritz Leitner can count themselves a little lucky that they're not being given a chance. Both ended up coming on at full time, and we are getting to the point, I think, where in terms of performances, I don't think Daniel would be in such a bad position if he said, look, I'm going to put Mario in for you, Kenny. Everyone else is probably there on merit and shoe-ins, even though Tim Closer is waiting, but I do feel Norwich are struggling for midfield control at the moment, and it would just make life a little easier if Mario was excellent when he came on for the last 5-10 minutes, and Norwich were very good in that spell. And I just think maybe it's time to have a look at that, but that goes against how Daniel does it, and if the side's winning, he may not want to change it, so we will see. I just hope that he will make, when he does need to make a change in a game to really affect it, I hope he makes it early enough, because that will need to happen. I mean, it sounds like I'm picking holes, and I probably am, because this side is absolutely flying, but there we go. Hull will be a really difficult challenge. I've seen Hull obviously 3 times in the last 2 seasons, and you know what, each time they've been really obdurate and tough, and they've got some good quality too, and they're probably in a false position, a little bit like Swansea. There's a lot of quality there, and they will be a really tough prospect. It was actually out of this and the whole game, the whole one was the one I was worried about, and as it so happens, the things that made Swansea what I thought would be a slightly more accommodating opponent weren't there. And fair play to Graham Potter, he's improved them greatly since the 4-1 win over at the Liberty Stadium, and he probably on that basis deserves the time that he so clearly wants to build the squad up. Whether he'll get to keep hold of the players that will help him do that is another matter, and obviously Norwich didn't. They had to do it with better recruitment. So it'll be interesting how Swansea get on. Norwich, it'll be very interesting how they get on Wednesday, but maybe for now it'll just be interesting to see what the table looks like by the time they kick off at home here to Hull. And we'll of course be here as always covering it, PinkUn.com. We'll see you on the other side.